This is the final part of our visit to the Kinyei and Naboisho Conservancies to the north of the Maasai Mara. This is a great area for lions, and we saw two sets of cubs, all seeming to do very well. We did get a glimpse of the cub's father, but he was quick to disappear into some thick bush, and although we drove around for a bit, we were unable to see him. The day was starting to heat up, and this lot were looking for some shade to rest up in. This is a Maasai giraffe out for a stroll. He's one of the three types found in Kenya, and he is the most common. The other two types are the reticulated giraffe, which is found sort of northern Kenya, and the very rare Rothschild's giraffe. The best place to see Rothschild's giraffe would be Lake Nakuru, where they've been reintroduced. Or, failing that, you can go to the Giraffe Centre in Nairobi. It was good to see a pod of hippos in the river, but we must have been slightly downwind of them, and the smell was pretty appalling. This is the view looking downstream from the hippo pool. Lots of marabous lined up on the riverbank. A grey heron is perched at the top right of the frame. Crocodiles out to sunbathe, and there are Egyptian geese in front of them. This is a perfect place for topi, as they prefer open savannas and sumplands that get plenty of annual rainfall. They also prefer lightly wooded areas like the Mara. Various subspecies of topi are found throughout eastern and southern Africa. For instance, the tiang in South Sudan and the sesame in Botswana. This bat-eared fox had his den in the base of an old tree. We saw him every morning.
Wow.
This was a much older family of cubs. Some of them were nearly as big as the mother, but if you look closely you can still see the little spots on the side that give away the fact that they are cubs. They've still got lots of time to play and not a care in the world. Sadly, about 50% of all lion cubs die before they see their first birthday.
Wow.
The mother had killed an eland the night before and left it for the cubs to play on. It made a welcome change to actually see some lions moving about and doing something. The cubs were obviously well fed because they weren't that bothered about eating it. They were more intent on pouncing on it and playing with each other.
It's a good video.
Coke's hartebeest are known locally as Kongoni. They're found in southern Kenya and northern Tanzania. There's around 8 subspecies of hartebeest throughout eastern and southern Africa and also across the Sahel. They're grazers like the topee, which are their close relatives, and they prefer areas of open parkland and savanna. Males tend to set up territories and like to waylay female groups as they pass through. In high density areas, males sometimes kill each other in fights. There's 2 types of wildebeest in Kenya. There's the western white-bearded, which is what we're looking at in the Maasai Mara, and if you go over to Amboseli, you'd see the eastern white-bearded. There's not a lot of difference between them though. The wildebeest are on their eternal migration. This lot have come from the Loiter Hills, and they come here to calve, and then will probably carry on down into the Maasai Mara proper. It's a separate migration from the ones that come up from Tanzania. This is a pack of banded mongooses. Sociability in mongooses is thought to have evolved as a result of selection by predators, mainly eagles and snakes. They are super vigilant and coordinated responses to threats from predators are common. They live in woodlands, savannas and grasslands in East and Central Africa. They like to eat termites and other insects, beetle grubs and small mammals as well. This is a nice scene with wildebeest at the back, an impala in front of those, and a mixed lot of Grants and Thompson's gazelles in the foreground. I can just see a lone warthog amongst them as well.
They are nice looking though.
Yep.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I see it.
We've got lots of turtles in all the rivers and quite a few leopard tortoises on land. The following sequence took about 18 minutes in real time, but obviously I've edited quite a lot out of it for the final cut. We're watching the birth of a baby wildebeest. Several things amazed me watching this. One was that the mother kept getting up, walking about and catching the herd up right the way through the birth. Her instincts were just to stay with the herd. Another one was that once the calf's head was out, it was obviously awake and starting to look round, even before it hit the ground. It needs all the head start it can get because it has to be up and walking literally within about 5 minutes of being born. I have to say we were all looking round, hoping that there weren't any hyenas in the vicinity. And finally, he's out.
Yay.
And now the big challenge is to find his feet and try and stand up. It took about 5 minutes and a good few attempts before he got the hang of it. Another young wildebeest shows him exactly what he needs to do. It's incredible how they learn to walk so quickly. I just wonder what's going through his brain in that first few minutes. All that genetic programming kicks in and he just knows he's got to be up and stick next to mum. I keep calling it he, but it could well be a she. I've no idea which.
Very clever.
He really needs to get out of the way of those tree roots. He finally gets it within a couple more minutes and begins his life of eternal wandering. These are Defasa waterbuck, mum and young. The coats seem a lot shaggier and a bit more sort of reddy brown than a common waterbuck, and they lack the white circle on the rump. They like these riverine forests close to water. Giraffes like to select very high quality food, and despite the fact that they can chew the cud, they rely more on digestion to release nutrients from the food. Because of the internal structure of the stomach, it's only half the size of that of a buffalo, but is more efficient. The giraffe's stomach provides the largest absorptive surface area of any known ruminant. Giraffes have to splay their legs so that they can get the neck close enough to the ground for a drink. I have on occasion seen them chewing on animal bones. They do this to extract the calcium, which they obviously need a lot of. Lots of much misunderstood spotted hyenas about. Although they do scavenge, they are pretty efficient hunters in their own right. Quite often it's the hyenas that lose their kills to lions because the lions are all too happy to scavenge an easy meal. I've never seen vultures laid on the floor resting like this before. And this is where the European storks go for the winter. That seems a bit more of a sensible place for the vultures to sit. We revisited the eland kill and we watched the lions trying to chase the vultures off the remnants. But vultures are very patient, and as soon as the lions turned their backs, they were in. There were mostly white-backed vultures and some Ruppel's griffins and a couple of very large lappet-faced vultures. There was also a couple of marabous trying to get in there as well. The small vulture that you can see just left of centre at the front is a hooded vulture, and to the right of it, the big one, is a lappet-faced vulture just walking in. Overall, these two conservancies were brilliant, and even better was the fact that we had it all to ourselves. I'd recommend anybody to try this, and I'd definitely go back given the chance.